Well, that's because the United States doesn't give money for
Well,
hostages.
supposedly we don't pay
For hostages.
right. We don't pay ransom for hostages. And the sad thing is, some of those hostages that were beheaded by ISIS could have been saved if they would have paid them off.
So
we're the only Western country that doesn't pay ransom for hostages.
that we know of.
As policy. But what really goes on is a whole nother story. So when it happens, it happens.
I'm going to call right back. I got
Okay.
to run for a second.
No problem. Thank you.
I'm going to call right back.
All right. Nice
All
talking
right.
to you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
As policy, we don't pay off ransom. But
As policy, we don't do a lot of
if need
things that
be,
we do.
We'll do it. Right.
Listen.
Hey, listen, when those two women were being held hostage, was it in, was it China? I'm not sure where. They walked over the border supposedly by accident, and of course the government said they were CIA operatives and they weren't. But all they wanted was for Bill Clinton to come over and get them out,
Yep, he just said some words. He didn't arrive with a suitcase, an account, or some type of deal or anything. Just arrived and said, let me take them.
Well, that's what they wanted. They wanted a little, good publicity. They're being nice guys, Mr. Clinton comes and
What's that guy's name? The other one?
He hung up.
I know, but what's his name?
I don't know why.
I want to know.
Isaac.
Thank
Isaac.
you. Right, Isaac. You gotta understand something, Naj. We have more senior moments. Our senior moments become senior hours. Okay, and I used to remember names so easily, and now I got to keep repeating it in my head.
But then you got to remember to bring your head with you.
Man, you're later in your years, so you won't see the fall. All you get to see is the decline. So you're lucky. You got to think about that. There's always a strength to even a weakness. So if you're an old age guy, that is a benefit. You will not see the fall. But some of these millennials and the generation after them, hey, maybe they might. We won't. We'll be gone.
As Ralph Cramden used to say, be kind to the people you meet on the way up, because you're going to meet the same people on the way down.
Indeed.
That's true.
Indeed.
So, Naj, if you do you vote?
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably going to vote third party. I don't know who, Johnson, Jill Stein, whatever. I'll probably do that.
Well,
I have
Jill
a
is.
tradition of voting for losers.
Yeah. Well, I see, Jill is okay. I like her, but again, like the other Isaac said, we're just wasting the votes.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what he feels, that's what he feels. I don't agree. I think people are more and more inclined to look at third-party options than they've ever been. And I think this next election in 2020, we might actually get one at a debate because, just the belief in the two parties is not what it used to be. Like, there's a lot of skepticism on both sides.
Well, a lot of people are saying there's a lot of room for a third party now.
Well,
Yeah.
run an independent party.
I remember one time when I was idealistic, and obviously one of my first chances to vote or whatever. Did you ever read Mad Magazine? Naj?
Yep, as a kid.
All right.
As a kid.
I voted for Alfred E. Newman.
That was your writing?
No, Alfred E. Newman was what the magazine was based on. His picture was on
I know.
the cover.
Was that your writing for president?
Yeah, Alfred
Okay.
E. Newman.
Okay.
I did my constitutional bit. I voted. But as people would say, it was throwing it away. But at that point, I really didn't care.
Well,
Now that I'm older and getting on in years, I do care.
Well, there are protest votes. If you, today,
Well,
if you,
I just look at it this way: if you don't believe in the two parties,
okay, let me.
think they're corrupt, and you think we need a change, and you decide I'm going to vote for a third party, I wouldn't say it's throwing your vote away because those two parties have to calculate why so many people went the other route, and then they have to at least open up their platform and say, okay, What are we not including that's making so many people choose this option?
That's
If
right.
you sit at home and don't do anything, that's when you threw away your vote. But if you just go out and exercise it in a way that's, even if it's, like I said, even if it's a different way, it still has to be accounted for and studied. So that's how I look at it. I voted for Jill Stein in 2012. I didn't vote for Obama.
Are you on there? Who's it, Isaac? Are you back?
Isaac?
No, area code 407.
I don't know.
He's still showing on hold, and he hung up.
Well,
No, he was 302. I don't know 407. I put him in as a live call, and he still showed on hold.
I tell you, we all know that Gary Johnson's a politician, okay? But I mean, Jill Stein was a doctor. I mean, she has no real organization. She just goes to a mall and gives a speech to maybe 10 people. And her platform is very close to Bernie's platform, what Bernie's platform was. And I give her a lot of credit because she's spending her own money. You don't see her say like Trump, I'm footing the bill for my own campaign.
Area 407, you on?
Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
This is your friend from Florida. This is Ed.
We got
Ed.
Libertarian friend.
Yeah. We got Ed. We
I'm telling you what, our meetings and everything are getting a lot stronger. More people are coming out. I just seen on Chris Matthews just had our candidates on tonight, and they're showing 12-14% now.
I
and
know
if we
that
get 15%. We might be in a debate.
Well,
and
that's
we
it.
can turn the election by, and maybe even thrown into the House of Representatives. It's moving. I think the time is right, because when you look at the Republicans and Democrats, please, of 300 million people, who do you give us? Hillary and Trump? Is this what the RNC and the DNC want to say? This is what you have to have for president? I think people are waking up and saying we need more choices.
Well, we obviously do.
Naj, you there?
Naj is there.
I know. Naj is another Johnson supporter.
I personally, I was at the Libertarian Convention. I'm not a big Johnson supporter, but I like the Libertarians. But I actually like Castle with the Constitutional Party better than Gary Johnson. I think Gary Johnson and Wild were bad choices for the Libertarians, just like I think Hillary and Trump were bad choices for the RNC and DNC. To me, I see them as washed up Republicans. I would have much rather had somebody like, in the past we've had Ron Paul, Harry Brown, Andrew Moreau. But, I would have rather seen a different candidate than Gary Johnson, but that's who we ended up getting. Just like I'm sure a lot of Republicans and a lot of Democrats would like to see different candidates.
Well, that's only because Ron Paul decided he's too old to keep running.
Yeah, he really is too old. He is too old to run. It would have been nice. He ran in '88 for the Libertarians.
You remember?
You
remember Harold Stassen, perpetual candidate every year back in the 40s? I think the 30s or the 40s. Harold Stassen run every 4 years. Never got anywhere, but looks nice on a resume.
Well,
I think that's the difficult part, though, because when you allow two parties to control everything for so long, they set the parameters. So you have to reach this baseline as far as fundraising, this baseline as far as signatures, this baseline as far as that. And when they can set the parameters, they can kind of make it to where they push everybody to the outside and say these people have no chance because we set it up. And they get all the campaign funding from the country and present themselves as serious candidates, and the ones on the outside are non-serious ones. So nothing in the Constitution says we have to have a two-party system and that they should be able to set the levers of power. Like, that's the biggest problem going on right now. We should have more parties, more choice. Every other industrialized nation does.
Well, you better believe that Trump and Hillary are worried about, Gary Johnson and Jill Stein getting on the dais, having enough support to enter into the debates, because they're bound to say something that's going to strike a chord that they're not going to like, but some other people might,
Yeah, well, the debate scared them, but more than that, what scares them is the ghost of Ross Perot and the ghost of Ralph Nader.
That's
and
right.
One of these guys, or one of these people, siphon off enough votes to affect things in a state that's very important for them. So that's the thing they're most scared of. Because you go back to 2000 in Florida, Ralph Nader haunted the hell out of the Democrats.
And who is it? That woman who counted up the votes, you can't say she wasn't in somebody's pocket. And Jeb Bush was the governor of Florida. If I'm not saying things might have been better with Al Gore, but the world might be a whole different place right now if Al Gore was president for 8 years. Well, for one thing, he wouldn't have invented the internet.
I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to get to with that guy. I don't know.
Well, something.
He's very happy to take the loss.
They're all part of the same establishment.
I know.
There's really not much difference between Democrats and Republicans. I don't see much difference between Bush, Clinton, or Obama, and that's who we had for the last 24 years. And Bush Senior, 32 years we've had. It's ridiculous. They're all the same.
Well, they are the same.
That's why we need more choices.
When you think about it,
yeah.
When you think of, just listen, when you think about this, Bill Clinton is like the adopted or black son of the Bush family because he gets along so well with the father and Barbara, okay? And don't forget, Barbara did say that, no guy forgets a blowjob no matter how bad it is, So, and that's coming from the mother, okay? But then you have George, and you have Obama, who you could literally say is the black sheep of the family, and now we're going back to Hillary,
And Hillary says, well, Bill might have got a blowjob. I'm going to fuck the whole America.
It really looks.
This is the other interesting part. This is the other interesting part about this. Hillary has been around so long that her baggage stays with her. Like, she's really no different than your typical Democrat or typical Republican. But the vitriol aimed at her is as if she's the worst of the worst. She's just run of the mill. She's a center-right Democrat who's going to be about militarism and probably get us involved in a war and, blame the Republicans and say they're obstructing whatever she's trying to do that she promised the left that she would do, that she's not going to do. Same outcome. You know what I mean?
She's a little too hawkish for me, okay? I don't want to, our young people are tired of going off and fighting somebody else's war, okay? You have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, about time.
They come back. They come back in body bags and coffins with a flag draped coffin. It's not that the Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan is a threat to mainland America, because they're not. And even ISIS. The worst thing that ISIS could do for us is what they're doing now anyway. You got lone cells who are blowing up places and taking innocent people with them, because in the manifesto of ISIS, they say, look, you don't have to come here and fight. Just get into your car and drive into a crowd of people, or load it with a bomb and blow yourself up.
Well, the most interesting part about all of that is, if we just decided to become more isolationist and leave some of these places alone, and remember, go back to World War I, after the war, when they drew up basically the Middle East. That's why we got all that violence over there. That's how you create all these groups. They drew those lines not based on territory. They drew them so they'd be easier to not only cause conflict between, but, subdue. But if you were to allow them to let it play out over there and say, look, ISIS is going to have to fight for their share of Iraq, the Kurds are going to have to fight for theirs, and the Sunnis theirs, and you guys figure this out between yourselves. All those so-called